Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Evershed Gaming and I'm bringing you another Ninth Age battle report. This is another Ogre Cons battle report. I got 2 games in last week and I'm getting around to making my second battle report now. And same list. I do have a new opponent though. I actually got to play against Infernal Dwarves, which is really exciting, and got to have my first test of the new book. So this is my list. I'll just run through it real quick. Mammoth Hunter, Shaman General, 12 Tribesmen, 2 things of 3 Tribesmen with paired weapons, a Saber-Tooth Tiger, 4 Tusker Cav, 4 Bombardiers with a Musician, Scratapult, Thunder Cannon, Rock with a crossbow, and a Slave Giant with a great weapon. I didn't really... I was pretty pleased with in the first game. I didn't really come out on top, but it was my first game with ogres, so I kind of gave myself a break. And I have a handwritten list for my opponent. He kind of whipped this up the day when the book came out. He's got a Prophet with a Master Nebukesh, Flintlock pistol. He's on a Bastion, the Lugar dice, and a tablet. He's got what he calls a Witchcraft Caddy, which is a vassal shaman with a binding scroll, and he's an adept of witchcraft. His prophet's running alchemy. He's a master of alchemy. And then in his core, he's got 15 flintlocks with a musician, a standard, and a flaming banner. And then he's got just a plain slaves with nothing to add on there. A blunderbuss, 20 of those boys with full kit, great weapons, shield, blunderbuss, full command, and flaming standard. And that rounds out his core. You can see he's got that 1126 circle. Very perfect. Well done, sir. In his special, he's got 19 disciples with paired weapons, 2 things of vassal cavalry for those incendiary shots, a gunnery team with rockets and cluster ammo, 2 Kadim chariots, and he's got an engine with rockets and an engine with the volcano cannon, the flamethrower. And that rounds out a 4,500 point Infernal Dwarves Legendary Army Book list. For our objective and our deployment, we had Frontline Clash and Breakthrough, which is always pretty simple and really nice. We rolled that up, but I think I appreciate it as somebody playing with a new army, and for my opponent who plays Infernal Dwarves quite frequently, but hasn't had a game in a minute, and this is his first game with the Legendary Army Book. So let's get into the battle. These are the spells that I chose for this game. After the last game, when I didn't have Smite the Unbeliever, I just felt like I didn't have enough things to throw in a combat. So I swapped that out for the first spell from Thaumaturgy, which I like that spell. I feel like I hear people diss on that spell, but then I feel like I play against people with that spell, and it always irritates me because you just never know what it's going to do, so often you let it go, and then you never know when it's just going to catastrophically kill something that it shouldn't have killed. I don't know. It's probably maybe too random for a spell to choose, but I don't know. I like it, but I feel like you need Smite the Unbeliever, or at least I felt like I needed it in my list. So this is my opponent's deployment. So starting on the left, he's got 15 flintlocks. They're actually standing in a water terrain right now. He's got a Kadim chariot, which really aren't looking all that interesting right now. Those are in process. He's got 5 vassal cav. He's got a rocket launcher gunnery team, and then that big kind of weird clump of miniatures is his first or second engine, how you want to think about it. He only has 1 engine model. He's kind of in process of figuring out what to do. I mean, Infernal Dwarf players only needed 1 engine model, right? Am I right? So now that they can run 2, he's got to figure that out. So we just put together models to make something 60 by 100 and called it an Infernal engine. That one has the rocket batteries as well. He's got the 20 slaves behind his army, and then he's got the 20 blunderbusses with the Bastion, which is also being proxied right now. Although that wouldn't be a bad start to a Bastion, for sure. Maybe too much stonework. And then he's got another Infernal engine with his with the volcano cannon. He's got his 19 Disciples Lugar chilling in that train piece. He's got the 5 more Vassal Cav, and then he's got his last Chariot chilling over there too. And his Vassal Shaman is all the way, in the back next to chilling with the slaves. So, very cool. Infernal Dwarf deployment. These are his spells. He's got, Alchemical Fire from Alchemy, Quicksilver Lash, Word of Iron, Glory of Gold, and Silver Spike. And then from Witchcraft, he's got Evil Eye, Raven's Wing, and Deceptive Glamour. And this is looking at the Ogre Con's deployment. So I've got, it's Breakthrough, so I kind of put my little tribes and units on both sides of the board, trying to, play both angles. Starting from my right and going to the left, we've got 3 tribesmen. And that one does not have a musician. We got 3 tribesmen and 4 tuskers. On the hill, we've got a Scratapult. And then we have 1 Thunder Cannon next to my big block of ogres. In my big block of ogres, I have my Shaman General. Then I have 4 Bombardiers in the field. I've got my Slave Giant next to my Rock. And then rounding out my deployment are the 3 other tribesmen. It's another view of my side. And this is after I have scouted my Mammoth Hunter. I had a kind of hard time deciding where to put this guy. I was kind of like, I didn't really want to put him in the forest. I didn't really see, and my opponent's going first. I didn't really see any benefit to doing that. I felt like I had to keep him away from the alchemy guy because he's got a 3-up armor save with a fortitude, so he's like a sitting duck for alchemy. And yeah, I guess I felt like there was some possibilities. It's tough with the Bastion though because it's 24 360. But I figured maybe if he hugged this side of the board, there might just be a little bit of a chance to play it safe with him. I forgot to deploy my dog, so I think I placed it right there, and then I actually changed my mind and I put it next to my tribesman. So new thing, playing with a little piece of chaff for me. So I'm still trying to figure out how to use those little doggies. And you can see my opponent has vanguarded his Vassal Cav, just one behind the building, and just kind of out of the ruins. He didn't want to get too close yet. And this is Infernal Dwarves, turn 1. He marches his Infernal Dwarves with flintlocks out of the water. He takes 1 DT, so it loses 1 guy, which I'm okay with that. And does some different shuffling here there. And pretty much everything moves forward in some extent. One of the engines only moves forward slightly because it can shoot. The other one I think marches because the flame cannon didn't really need to shoot this turn. You can kind of see how he's sort of maneuvering. We got that building in the middle of the deployment, which can cause some problems. We didn't change the train from the previous battle report that I made. Same board. And so he's kind of, you can see splitting a little bit, trying to, take on the things. I only have my Tuskers on my left flank and 3 tribesmen, but it's Breakthrough, so those are 2 scoring units, so he's got to deal with them. And this is another kind of good pick of seeing kind of oncoming at my Ogres. He gets a Silver Spike off, and he kills 2 Ogres. This is a tough part where Silver Spike is really good because it always keeps the D3 wounds, which sucks. So, yeah, I felt the need to let that one go because he's got other bad stuff. And unfortunately, he was also able to get off a. I'm trying to think what the spell is called from Witchcraft. He gets a move, the magical move. I can't. The Raven's Wing. There it is. And he moves up his Infernal Engine to, be closer to my Tuskers. That thing is going to be able to do some havoc. And actually, it does shoot. It doesn't do anything. And I think the one wound that, you can see right there on one of the corners of the Tuskers is actually maybe from the Flintlocks, who poke a wound through. So I was pretty excited about that. He had trouble hitting, and then, I think he was only winning on 3s, and he just rolled poor to wounds. So that was cool. This is OgreCon's turn one. I move up, tentatively with my ogres to put him in the forest to try and get some cover. I just keep my cannon where it is. It's got 24-inch range on his engine. I really want to just get rid of the one with the rocket batteries right away. My Scratapult moved back, so I think it was going to take a movement penalty this turn. And then I really, I just moved up my, melee units on the side. I was actually able to move my Mammoth Hunter on my right flank there and get him behind that wall and out of the charge arc of the Lugars. So I felt pretty good about that, and I figured, he could put the Infernal engine in there, but I actually wouldn't mind that. I'd rather him do that than shoot with it. So, uh, yeah, I felt like that really wasn't, if he really wanted to do that, I would have been okay with that. I do have that chariot in front of me, and I was okay. I was kind of interested to see how that chariot combat would go. Yeah. I get Flux Card 4, so I get 5 dice, 7 Veil Token. I want to say I just saved one, I got 3 more dice. I put a Wrath of the Gods down on this side. I don't really have a lot going on this side of the board, and I figured I'm gonna need to help myself out here. So I placed this down. I placed a little bit forward from him because if anything, he wants to move forward to do breakthrough, and if he moves back, that's actually good. Sorry, I was an upside down pick. And this is showing that he also charged me. I forgot to. Oh, actually, sorry. This is going into his turn now. Actually, I didn't get must have not got anything else off of my magic face, and I do remember my shooting not being all that effective. I think I did a couple wounds with my cannon to his engine. So we'll get to that. We'll see it later on, I'm sure. This is showing he's charged me, and I want to say stand and shoot, but I don't really think that wound is from that. Um, yeah, I want to say this is actually at the end of Infernal Dwarfs too, so I really missed a big movement pick right there. Um, or maybe yeah, this is the end of his movement. So I don't. Oh, you know what? Chariot took a dangerous train, failed a dangerous train thing. That's where I got the wound from. Ah, got it. Okay, so this is the end. This is Infernal Dwarfs turn to the movement phase. So on the left, you can see he chaffs me with his Vassal Cav. He's able to march 9, or I'm trying to think if he maybe even uses his one banner, but he's able to get his the corner of his engine in the forest, which is really frustrating. I think he took a DT from it, which I was okay about. But then he was able to, now he's in the forest too, so now he can shoot everything from that one corner, and he doesn't have to take forest cover for his blunderbusses, which is annoying. And short range, which is annoying too. Yeah, you can see in my first turn, I was able to do 2 wounds to his engine with my cannon, so that was great. I want to say my Scratapult hit the blunderbuss unit too and killed a few people with lethal strike, so that was nice too. And you can see he's also chaffing me with the Rock, which I don't like. And he has done 2 wounds to the Rock too. I want to say that was through Quicksilver Lash. You can see he's put Alchemical Fire on me. Yeah, that's where I'm getting the 2 wounds. Pretty sure that was Quicksilver Lash. He put in an instance of Incinerate on me. He got just 1 single hit through with these guys, and was able to get Incinerate, which is frustrating. And then this really disappointed me. This turn, the Comet didn't, the Wrath of the God didn't come down. I really wanted to clear. I really wanted to come down and clear out that chaff. Have the chaff either completely destroyed or panic, so that I could just charge straight ahead with my Ogre, my Tuskers next turn. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And this is the shooting though for my opponent this turn. Nothing. Yeah, I mean, I've got cover from that wall everywhere except, from the Infernal engine, and he's just rolling really poopy with it, honestly. Bad to hit rolls, bad to wound rolls, and doing nothing. So, getting really fortunate with my Tuskers over here because they're weathering a lot of stuff, and they're somehow, making it through so far. And then this was big too. this bad boy rolled double ones for its um, misfire or to shoot. Rolled a 1, misfire, rolled a 1. Doesn't blow up, unfortunately, but it does get 3d3 Volcanic Embrace, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I remember reading that and when we did the review, and I was like, that's cool. It's like nice. But then you play against and you're like, God, that's so dumb. Because you're like, does it really need that? I mean, it's like such a good constellation prize, right? But anyway, this thing is not going to shoot the rest of the game, which I appreciate because it could have ripped apart my ogres because it was short range, which I really lucked out here, honestly. I do suffer some shooting from the blunderbusses, and it's not nice. Yeah, he's really putting a lot of magic and shooting into this unit, which rightfully so. It's a big combat block, and um, I don't know. I also took 2 wounds from a miscast on my shaman, so my shaman is not looking so great too. So I was pretty nervous about putting my tribesmen into this unit, and then I was kind of even more nervous after this turn when I felt like he's just put so much damage into them already. Combat goes over here. He puts 1 wound on my hunter. I'm able to do 2 wounds doing combat, so we're able to be tied in combat. I was very pleased about that. Combination of a couple good armor saves, good fortitude saves against the not flaming attacks from the chariot, and yeah, rolling okay with a couple, his 5 strength, 6 attacks. So really happy to see this dude be able to weather that. All right, and now this is Ogre Khan's turn 2. So I decided to put my giant into his Disciples of Lugar. He kind of thought about trying the flame flight out. He, was not really sure how that combat would go. Being strength 4, but he does have a lot of attacks, and he thought, yeah, well, we'll see what happens. He hasn't played with Disciple Lugar in a long time. He played with him quite frequently for a bit, and he's got gorgeous models for them. Hopefully, we get a close up of them. And then another kind of sad thing happened on my flank here too. I charged the Rock at the chaff because I'm like, you got to get rid of the chaff, right? He flees, or he panics from terror, which is really exciting. I go to redirect and I fail. So now I'm just a sitting duck there. And I also did this move here where I chaffed his chariot with my saber tusk. But now, like, looking back at this, I'm just like, why didn't I chaff the engine? And feeling really foolish about that, actually. Because, Rock's got to charge. Am I right? They're only really, they're fine in combat normally, but they rock on the charge. So, yeah, I felt a little foolish about that, but other than that, my bombardiers are, moving a little bit slightly. I moved my tribesmen back. I'm trying to keep some distance. I think I was able to get out of 9 inches with the tribesmen, my big bunker with my shaman. So I was like, okay, he's shooting me long range. He can't really move forward unless he wants to charge. If he charges, he can't shoot me. So I felt okay about chaffing, but in hindsight now, I'm like, I should have. If he wanted to get in combat, I should have let him come in because he's got more advantages to shoot and magic. So I don't know what I was thinking. Unfortunately, second game with ogres. What can I say? I do a trial of faith over here, and by golly, the gods are good, and I was able to put 2 more wounds on this bad boy. So it's got 4 wounds on it. I was pretty excited about that. And, the Wrath of the Gods comes down. Wrath of God. But Wrath of Gods comes down, and boy, is it a good one. It just obliterates the Vassal Cav. It just terminates the gunnery team. It only puts 1 wound on the chariot. I was okay with that. It's, fine. And then I actually rolled 12 hits up for the flintlock unit, and my I think I did I think I did 12 wounds on this. It was insane. It was like 12 hits, 12 wounds, but my opponent made like half of the saves. So, I think you can actually see them right there. So, still, killing 6 of them was great or something like that. Really, really awesome Wrath of the Gods right there. Let me tell you, that felt very momentum shifting for me. And then this was incredible too. I'm slapping my table a lot tonight making this battle report. The cannon hits, wounds, terminates the infernal engine with the rockets. So, a lot of his shooting has actually gotten quite nerfed at this point now, which is great. And another interesting thing is this unit panics. My opponent was just bemoaning not having a BSB, as was I actually too, because I had some, I wish I could have tried to re-roll my redirect test for my Rock and charge, the other engine this turn. That would have been great. So we both were bemoaning our not having BSBs. And I think my opponent had been talking to his ID community quite a bit about this, and maybe someone was saying too expensive. Put the points somewhere else. I feel like I was thinking the same thing about Ogres. Where I'm like, oh, BSB is so expensive, and like he's not really that great of a character. But yeah, it's tough not having a BSB sometimes. That reroll's really good for a very obvious reason. So, he actually flees after the engine dies, and he goes to be right there. So it doesn't flee very far, but that's pretty cool if I say so. If I don't say so. And this is on my turn, so he'll have a chance to rally on a 9 next turn. But very interesting. I also did some shooting at his vassal cab with my bombardiers, and had great. I had good line of sight, and I didn't have any cover or anything. But I just couldn't really. I couldn't really do it. With the shots. So I killed 3, and I wish I could at least maybe got him down to 1 or something like that. Make him rally on half. Unfortunately, I feel like they're just gonna rally if the main unit rallies. If not, who knows? My hunter's able to beat down that chariot and get some stuff out of combat. He does take a wound for his trouble, unfortunately. So he's got 2 wounds on him right now. My giant does great. He only takes 1 wound. He kills. Let's see. I think he's 1, 2, 3. I think he's 7 wide. He had 19, 7, so he killed 1, 2, 3. He killed 5. He killed 8 models. So very solid. These guys break from combat. I think I pursue them down, but I can't catch them. So they do get away. But I was fairly happy to beat these guys down in combat pretty well. Because if anything, I'm thinking I'll just be able to do the same thing again. Ogre King Giant is awesome. God, the impact hits are so great. He's beautiful. This is already one of my favorite models in this collection so far. So this is, and you can see, with one of my tribes in the unit, they're making a break for that breakthrough, trying to get as far as they can, and I think they're almost at the deployment zone. 1 more turn of movement, and they will be there. So yeah, very cool there. As you can see with. This is the end of Ogre Khan's turn 2, and I was feeling pretty good at this point. I have to say, feeling pretty good of how things. I wish, again, looking back, I'm like, why didn't I not chaff the engine this turn? But live and learn, right? So for my folly, I received this bad boy in my face, which I don't like because I only got 4 wounds left on this thing, and with its impact hits and all its grinding and all its just random attacks, it's just, I don't know. I feel like he could kill me before I get to strike. And he is able to rally with all his stuff, so, he turns around, and, he's looking pretty good. Moves his slaves over. As you can see, he's actually taken his vassal out of his slave unit and just parked him behind the the bastion. So he moved up his other Infernal Dwarf unit, really close to my Tuskers, which I thought was an interesting move. I almost thought he was, Well, we'll see how that works out on that side. I was kind of curious what he was doing, and yeah, that's what the battlefield looks like. Fortunately, this mammoth hunter, ugh, he's just not having a great day. He gets Quicksilver lashed. I want to say I even tried. I tried to stop the spell, and I just couldn't do it because, he only had 2 damage spells, and it was yeah. And I mean, like Silver Spike, I can handle, but because at least I got a fortitude, try and save it. I can maybe just do 1 wound, but yeah, I tried to stop Quicksilver lash, couldn't. He kills me. Um, mm, this was so sad too. He kills me over here, and he was able to put up a 1-up armor save on this bad boy. I want to say, so I couldn't even poke a wound on it. So it's sitting there like full wounds at this point, which is just so frustrating. So unfortunately, that thing gets my rock and walks away without a scratch. And now we're moving to OgreCon's turn 3. So some more charges here. I charge my Tuskers at his Flintlocks, and they flee, and they roll quite well, and they're able to get past the chariot. Take I don't even think they take another DT actually. Um, and then I'm able to pass a redirect to charge the chariot. That flees as well. I try to go into the Flintlocks, and I think it was like a long charge, probably like an 11 or 12, and I'm just not able to do it. So I think I stumbled forward like 4 or 5 inches. So, yep, and yeah, that's where we end up right there. And now I'm feeling a lot more confident at this point to start moving up my tribesmen on the left over here. So they move for they basically been holding back because I didn't want them to get picked off by the Flintlocks, pass a panic, flee off the board. So they start moving up now. And yeah. Oh, that's right. I was like, I knew I did another charge. So I charged my giant in his last turn. My opponent had a great magic phase last turn. He was able to get a silver spike off of my giant and do 3 wounds to the bad boy. So I think he was sitting up there with 4, and that made me a lot more nervous about going into that unit. With 6 wounds, I thought really unlikely for him to kill me. With only 3 wounds for me to do, I thought, ugh, it's a little too likely at that point almost. So what I decided to do was charge my giant at his slaves. He decided to flee with them. I think they passed terror, and they fled. They fled really far. So at that point, I just decided to try redirecting. I passed it, and I went into the Lugar boys, and he held for that. And otherwise, I chaff again with the dog because again, I was at long range. I was in the forest. I'm thinking like, if he wants to shoot me, it's gonna be tough. I can try and stop all the damage magic as well as I can, and then keep him there. Maybe blast that bad boy with my cannon. Trial of faith on the dude. Just see what I can. I almost thought about charging the vassal cavalry with my saber tooth, and it seemed like a reasonable charge. But then I figured if he just fled, I just wouldn't be able to do anything with it. So I decided to try chaffing with it again. Not really sure what to do with the engine on my right flank over here. I mean, the good thing is it has to look around because I think my Rock survived and actually got pursued and caught, which is just that was frustrating too. Or, sometimes you're just hoping you just get away or something like that. But so I'm 99% sure that's happened. So thankfully, it's not looking at anything, but that doesn't mean it can't turn around and look later on in the game. So yeah, that's what we're looking like over there. Now I feel like I start moving up my bombardiers a little bit more. I really want to get rid of those vassal cav, get the points, but also make sure they can't do anything sneaky later on. And so what the board looks like. I did get rid of the vassal cav. I want to say I had a dud of a magic phase, except getting Smite the Unbeliever off, which did help. because my opponent needed sixes, and he was only able to roll 1 6 out of all his attacks, all his flame things. Really great. Beat down the Disciple Lugar boys, chased him down, chased him in the rune, and oh shoot. My giant takes a couple more wounds from DTs, and he's down. So, yeah, that was a little sad. These guys, like they fled from combat, and they were not under quarter strength, so I felt like I had to go pursue them. Otherwise, they'd still be alive, be able to charge me next turn, be able to do whatever. Yeah, it was just sad to see him go down like this after doing so much good work on those Disciples of Lugar. And this is going into Infernal Dwarves, turn 4. His, interestingly enough, his chariot rallies, but his flintlock dudes flee again. So they almost go off the board, but they're very fortunate just to stay right on there. So they're an inch away. And then I believe his slaves flee too. And they get over there too. And I don't know why he's got 21. He might be a sneaky little boy and included one on there. Either way, I don't like it. You can see at some point I've put some wounds on his bastion. I know it took one from a DT, and it's got 3 on it right now, which gives me hope, but also I'm not unaware of the fact that the thing has 8. This dude has a great Raven's Wing where he's able to just ignore, actually, he kills my chaff by Raven's Wing, and then he gets in the forest and really kind of starts to corner my tribesmen and my shaman general, which I really did not appreciate. Yeah, that was quite frustrating. And I want to say, I feel like this was a spell I tried to stop, and again, couldn't. Upside down pick. All right, there we go. This is actually Ogre Khan's turn 4. I took some wounds. This dang bastion. Not even looking at my Tuskers, the caster, with that 360 arc is able to toss a Quicksilver Lash at my Tuskers, and I think he puts 4 more wounds on the unit or something crazy like that, which was frustrating. I still felt this call. I don't know what I felt to put my Tuskers in, to move them up, for scoring, for trying to get points. So since I was, trying to get points with those Tuskers, I, moved them up so that, they're right in front of the Kadim chariot and it can charge it. I felt like I had a lot of attacks, and I was thinking even if it had some good impact hits, I should still have 2 Tuskers. And to me, 8 attacks from the beasts and 6 attacks from the riders seemed like it would be enough attacks to either kill it, it's only got 3 wounds left, or, possibly tie combat or something. But that's what I chose to do, and I moved, right up in front of that chariot right there. During my magic phase, I get flex card 7, so I get 6 dice. Let's see, Sunveil tokens, save 2 tokens, so I probably had 9 dice. And I think I got Children of Umioff on the bolt, the tribesmen in the middle, to sort of, keep them as alive as long as possible. Maybe, make sure they can flee and my opponent has to go after them if he wants to get all those points. I want to say I tried Trial of Faith, and I couldn't get that off, or my opponent stopped it. But yeah, that's about it, really. This is Infernal Dwarves turn 5. You can see he charges his Kadim chariot into my Tusker Calf. He rallies his Flintlock dudes, which it would have been really nice to see them just go off the board. I think his slaves rally too at this turn too. And he puts his engine and his, bastion and blunderbuss Citadel Guard, or are they Citadel Guard? Yeah, Citadel Guard into the tribesmen. So we'll see how many are left at the end of combat. He gets Word of Iron up on himself. I think that's impact hits. And then after combat, he is able to pursue me down. Yeah, those guys were not long for the world. um, and in this combat, impact hits does kill one of the. I think it does a wound. So I'm down to two guys. After all striking back, I'm only able to poke one more wound on the thing. My opponent made, I think, I only think I did three wounds, which I felt was really bad, between all my attacks. And yeah, because I feel like I should have done two wounds with the Tuskers, and he should have made one of those saves. And then I feel like I should have done two wounds with the ogres, and then he should have saved one of those. So I feel like I should have had one more wound because I feel like I lost combat. I feel like I only lost combat by one too. That was the rough thing is I lost combat by one, and I broke, and then he pursued me down. So I felt like that was such a terrible swing at this late point in the game for just some swingy rolling on my opponent on my part. So fortunately, that chariot claims those Tuskers, which are a ton of points, and that thing's only like 235. So yeah, not happy about that. And this is I want to say going into OgreCon's turn 4. Really didn't have much movement at this point. I want to say I charged my tribesman in his flintlocks, try and contest the objective. This unit's right here. That's going to be able to move into my deployment zone. Still trying to kill the Bastion because it's a ton of points for the general and the wizard and everything. I think I do Trial Faith and I put another wound on it. I want to say my cannon misses this turn. Yeah, you can see I've got my shaman and my bombardiers over there. I want to say my bombardier shot at the flintlock unit, and I didn't have he wasn't in the forest because his majority flank wasn't in there, or even he had forest cover. It's like I was hitting on 5s or 4s, and I didn't do a single wound to him. I was like I think I just rolled up a lower amount of shots and just bad rolling it. It was like, oh, come on, it's it's like I need to kill some of these blunderbuss guys. Like they're just because every shot you remove from that unit is like really is like a lot of shots actually. Like you can reduce from receiving. So that was pretty frustrating. And unfortunately, I want to say this is where the game ends. Actually, the tribesmen fight the Citadel Guard. I want to say they win combat. He doesn't break. I think I only win combat by one. Thankfully, they got shot the previous turn, and it wasn't enough for a panic test. And then on the stand and shoot, you can only need to do one wound to cause a panic test, and they're able to make it. So. Yeah, they're trying to beat down those, and unfortunately, yeah, this being the last picture, I didn't have enough time to complete a turn 6, so I felt bad. I felt bad having to wrap it up, but I had to go, and I was like running out of there with my models because I had to get home. So unfortunately, calling it here on turn 5. So I'm not gonna really worry about the objective. I want to say that my opponent was. Yeah, I remember we sort of like had the hypothetical discussion as I was packing up of what turn 6 would look like, which I never like doing, honestly, at like when you're wrapping things up to be like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, well, it's almost like you have to do it to like really count. So, we're not going to really worry about the objective. We'll just look at points and we'll get a score from that. So after calculating the points, this ends up looking like a 13-7 Infernal Dwarf victory. Infernal Dwarves had 2,817 points left. OgreCons had 1,825. Didn't really add the objective. Just doesn't always really feel right when you haven't really completed the game. So yeah, that's kind of where we ended up. So second loss for me, at OgreCons. To be expected, when you start learning a new army. Good win for the Infernal Dwarves. Yeah, they felt appropriately powerful, as I've heard a lot of people talking about. Yeah, double engines are tough for sure. Don't like it. but we'll have to see what the future holds. I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this battle report, and we'll have another one coming at you soon.